Life has a way of presenting us with challenges that seem unbearable. There are times when you feel like you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, and no matter how hard you try, nothing seems to go your way. The frustration builds up, and the temptation to give up grows stronger with every failure, every delay, and every setback. But before you surrender to discouragement, you must understand this: your struggle has a purpose. The trials you are facing are not random, nor are they meaningless. They are shaping you for something greater, something beyond what you can see right now. God does not allow you to go through hardships just to watch you suffer. Every battle, every tear, and every moment of uncertainty is part of a divine process that is molding you into the person He created you to be. You may not understand why certain doors have closed, why certain people walked away, or why the breakthrough you've been praying for hasn't come yet. But what you must know is that God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. He is strengthening you in ways you cannot see. He is building your endurance, refining your character, and stretching your faith, so that when the blessing arrives, you will be ready to handle it. Think about the times in your life when you wanted something badly, but it didn't happen when you expected. Maybe you prayed for an opportunity, a relationship, or a breakthrough, but instead you faced disappointment. In those moments, it is easy to believe that God has forgotten about you, that He has abandoned you in your struggle. But what if instead of abandoning you, He was protecting you? He was protecting you. What if what you thought was a denial was actually a delay because He knew that you weren't ready yet? You see, God sees the full picture while we only see a fragment. You may feel like your life is at a standstill, but in reality, you are being positioned for something far greater than you could ever imagine. The waiting, the struggles, and the setbacks are not signs of failure, they are signs of growth. Just as gold must go through fire to be purified, and just as diamonds are formed under extreme pressure, your trials are refining you into the person you were meant to become. If you look back at your life, you will see that some of the most painful moments led to the biggest transformations. The things that broke you also built you. The seasons that made you cry also made you stronger. The failures that once embarrassed you ended up pushing you towards something better. It's only in hindsight that you begin to see the purpose behind your pain, but in the moment when you are in the middle of the storm, it is hard to recognize. That is why you must trust in the process, even when you do not understand it. God's plan is bigger than your struggles. You may feel like you are stuck, but you are not stuck. You are being prepared. Every delay, every hardship, and every challenge is shaping you into someone who is stronger, wiser, and more equipped for what is coming next. The reason it feels so hard right now is because the blessing on the other side is so great. The enemy wants you to give up before you reach your breakthrough, because he knows what God has in store for you. He knows that if you keep going, you will step into something that will change your life forever. If you could see what God has planned for you, you wouldn't doubt, you wouldn't question, and you wouldn't give up. You would keep moving forward with confidence, knowing that every hardship is bringing you closer to something extraordinary. So even when you feel like quitting, remind yourself that God is not done with you yet. Your story is not over. The struggles you are facing are not meant to break you. They are meant to make you. Keep holding on, keep pushing forward, and trust that God's plan for your life is greater than anything you could ever imagine. No matter how dark it seems, no matter how tired you feel, keep believing, because your struggle has a purpose and your breakthrough is coming. There are moments in life when everything feels like it is falling apart. You pray, you believe, and you try to stay strong, but the weight of your struggles keeps growing heavier. You look around and it seems like everyone else is moving forward while you remain stuck in the same place. You start wondering if your prayers are even being heard, if your faith is in vain, and if things will ever change. The silence of waiting can feel unbearable, and the thought of giving up seems more appealing than holding on. But in those moments of doubt, God is speaking to you. He is telling you not to give up. You see, when God places a vision in your heart, when He gives you a dream, a calling, or a purpose, He does not abandon you halfway. He does not tease you with promises only to let you fail. What He starts, He finishes. What He ordains, He brings to completion. But the journey to the promise is never easy. It comes with trials, delays, and moments where everything inside you tells you to quit. That is because before God blesses you, He prepares you. Before He elevates you, He strengthens you. Before He places something great in your hands, He makes sure that you are ready to receive it. Many times, people give up just before their breakthrough. They let frustration, impatience, and discouragement convince them that nothing will ever change. They walk away from something that was only days, weeks, or months away from being fulfilled. They surrender too soon, not realizing that what they prayed for was right around the corner. God is telling you today, don't be that person. Don't let your emotions trick you into abandoning the very thing that God is about to bless you with. What you are going through is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to prepare you. Think of the great people in the Bible: Moses, Joseph, David, Esther. None of them received their calling overnight. They all went through seasons of struggle, seasons of waiting, seasons where they had every reason to quit but chose to keep going. Joseph had a dream of greatness, but before he reached the palace, he was betrayed, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. Imagine if he had given up in that prison cell. Imagine if he had said, "This is too hard, I can't do this anymore." He would have never seen the fulfillment of God's promise in his life. But because he endured, because he refused to give up, he was elevated to the highest position in Egypt, second only to Pharaoh himself. Your journey may not look like Joseph's, but the principle is the same. The process is tough, but the promise is worth it. The delays are frustrating, but the destiny is bigger than you can imagine. The pain is real, but the purpose behind it is greater. If you hold on just a little longer, if you trust God even when it doesn't make sense, you will see Him move in ways you never expected. The enemy wants you to believe that your current situation is permanent. He wants to convince you that nothing will ever change, that you will always be stuck, that your dreams will never come to pass. But that is a lie. God is not finished with you yet. What you see right now is only a chapter. It is not the whole story. Just because you are struggling today does not mean you will struggle forever. Just because you feel lost right now does not mean you will never find your way. God is working behind the scenes, arranging things in your favor, aligning the right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances to bring His plan for your life to fulfillment. You may not understand why things are happening the way they are. You may not see the purpose behind the pain, the reason behind the rejection, or the lesson in the waiting, but God does. He sees the full picture while you only see a fragment. He knows what He is doing, and He is asking you to trust Him even when it doesn't make sense. If you could see what is coming, you wouldn't doubt. If you knew the doors that God is about to open, you wouldn't worry. If you had a glimpse of the future He has prepared for you, you wouldn't even think about giving up. So hold on, keep pressing forward, keep believing even when it's hard, keep trusting even when you don't see results. Because one day, when everything falls into place, when the breakthrough finally comes, you will look back and realize why you had to go through everything you did. You will see that God never left you, that He was working all along, and that every trial was leading you to something far greater than you ever imagined. So don't give up now. You are closer than you think. Life has a way of testing our endurance, stretching us beyond what we think we can handle and pushing us to the very edge of our faith. There are seasons when everything seems to go wrong, when prayers feel unanswered, and when no matter how much effort we put in, we see no progress. It is in these moments of struggle, these moments of deep discouragement, that we begin to wonder if continuing the fight is even worth it. We ask ourselves, is God really with me? Did He really promise me a breakthrough? Why does it feel like I'm stuck in the same place despite my faith and my efforts? But it is in these exact moments when we are at our weakest, when we are tempted to quit, that God is telling us not to give up. You see, challenges are not signs that God has abandoned you. They are not indications that you are on the wrong path. More often than not, they are confirmations that you are exactly where you are meant to be. The enemy does not attack those who are doing nothing. He goes after those who are on the verge of stepping into something great. The battles you are facing right now are not random. They are not meaningless. They are strategic attacks meant to make you doubt, to weaken your faith, to steal your hope. But what the enemy does not realize is that every challenge you overcome makes you stronger. Every hardship builds endurance. Every delay teaches you patience. Every closed door redirects you to something greater. God's timing is not our timing. His ways are not our ways. And often what feels like an unanswered prayer is actually divine protection or preparation. Sometimes God allows us to go through long periods of waiting because He is working on something bigger than we can comprehend. He is preparing things behind the scenes, aligning the right people, orchestrating events, and making sure that when He opens the door, we will be ready to walk through it. Think about the life of David. He was anointed as king when he was just a boy, but he didn't take the throne immediately. Instead, he spent years in the wilderness, running from Saul, enduring betrayal, facing battles, and experiencing hardship. It would have been easy for him to question God's promise. He could have said, if I was really meant to be king, why am I going through all this? Why is life getting harder instead of easier? But what David didn't see in the moment was that every battle was preparing him for the throne. Every struggle was shaping him into the leader God had called him to be. If David had given up in the wilderness, if he had abandoned his faith because of the hardships, he would have never seen the fulfillment of God's promise. Your journey is no different. The struggles you are facing are not wasted. The pain you are enduring is not meaningless. God is strengthening you, refining you, and preparing you for what is coming. And when the breakthrough arrives, when the promise is fulfilled, you will look back and understand why the waiting was necessary, why the trials were essential, and why giving up was never an option. It's easy to have faith when everything is going well. It's easy to believe when doors are opening and when blessings are flowing. But true faith is tested in the fire. True faith is holding on when nothing makes sense. True faith is believing even when there is no visible reason to believe. And that is exactly what God is asking of you right now. He is asking you to trust Him even in the silence. He is asking you to keep going even when the road is hard. He is asking you to hold on just a little longer because He is not finished with you yet. One of the biggest tricks of the enemy is making you believe that your current circumstances are permanent. He wants you to think that things will never change, that your prayers are unheard, that your efforts are wasted, but that is a lie. Your current situation is not your final destination. This season of hardship is not where your story ends. What you are going through right now is temporary, but God's promises are eternal. You may be in a storm right now, but storms do not last forever. You may be facing setbacks, but setbacks are often setups for something greater. You may feel like giving up, but God is saying, hold on. I am working on something far beyond what you can see. When you reach the point where you feel like you can't go any further, that is when you need to dig deeper. That is when you need to remind yourself why you started in the first place. That is when you need to cling to God's promises with everything you have, because the truth is you are closer than you think. Your breakthrough is not as far away as it seems. Your victory is nearer than you realize. Imagine how different your life could be just 1 year from now if you don't give up today. Imagine the doors that could open, the prayers that could be answered, the blessings that could unfold if you just keep going. Imagine the testimony you will have, the people you will inspire, the lives you will touch, simply because you chose to endure. God is telling you today, don't quit. Don't let temporary pain make you forfeit eternal blessings. Don't let frustration blind you to the fact that He is still in control. Even if you can't see the way forward, even if you don't understand why things are happening the way they are, trust that He is working all things together for your good. You have come too far to turn back now. You have fought too many battles to surrender at this point. You have endured too much to let go right before the breakthrough. So press on. Keep believing, keep trusting, keep moving forward, because one day soon you will look back and realize that everything you went through was leading you to something far greater than you ever imagined. Life is a journey filled with moments of triumph and moments of trial. It is in the darkest hours, in the moments of struggle, when the weight of the world feels unbearable, that we are tempted to throw in the towel and walk away. We question everything, our purpose, our progress, and even God's presence in our lives. The obstacles seem insurmountable, the battles unending, and the strength to push forward feels like it has faded. But in these exact moments, when the thought of giving up becomes the loudest voice in our minds, God is whispering, do not give up. You see, God never promised that the journey would be easy, but He did promise that He would be with us every step of the way. He never said there wouldn't be struggles, but He assured us that He would give us the strength to endure them. And that is why we must hold on, why we must keep fighting, why we must continue to believe, even when we don't see the results yet. Many times when we are on the verge of something great, when we are about to step into the very thing God has prepared for us, that is when the challenges intensify. That is when the attacks come harder, when the delays seem longer, when the discouragement feels overwhelming. The enemy wants nothing more than for you to stop before you reach your breakthrough. He wants to convince you that you are wasting your time, that nothing will change, that you are not capable, that you are alone in this battle. But none of that is true. God is with you, and He is working in ways you cannot yet see. Look at the story of Joseph. He had dreams of greatness, visions of a future where he would lead and make a difference. But before he reached that destiny, he was betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, wrongfully imprisoned, and forgotten. He had every reason to give up. He had every reason to believe that his dreams were shattered, that God had abandoned him. But even in the darkness, even in the pain, he remained faithful. He kept going. He didn't allow his circumstances to define him, and because of that, in the right time, God elevated him to a position greater than he had ever imagined. Had Joseph given up in the prison cell, he would have never seen the fulfillment of the promise. And that is exactly what happens in our own lives. The trials you are facing are not meant to destroy you. They are meant to prepare you. The delays you are experiencing are not denials. They are divine timing. The pain you are enduring is not punishment. It is refinement. God is shaping you, molding you, strengthening you so that when you do step into your breakthrough, you will be ready to sustain it. It is so easy to lose faith when things are not going according to our plans. We want immediate answers, quick resolutions, and effortless success. But true growth, true strength, true endurance is built in the process. The process is what prepares us for the promise. And often it is the very struggles we wish would disappear that are the key to unlocking our destiny. Think about the butterfly. It begins as a caterpillar, crawling on the ground, limited in movement, seemingly insignificant. But then comes the cocoon, the dark, isolated, uncomfortable place where transformation happens. From the outside, it may seem like nothing is changing, like the caterpillar is trapped, like it has been buried, but inside, a powerful transformation is taking place. And when the time is right, when the process is complete, the butterfly emerges, no longer crawling, but soaring. The same is true for you. You may feel like you are in a cocoon season right now, stuck, isolated, wondering when things will change. But God is saying, hold on, trust the process. I am transforming you. Because when you come out of this season, you will not be the same. You will be stronger, you will be wiser, you will be ready to step into everything He has prepared for you. Too many people give up right before their breakthrough. Too many people let discouragement steal what was meant for them, but that will not be your story. You are not here by accident. You are not fighting these battles for nothing. God has placed a calling on your life, and no setback, no failure, no delay can cancel what He has ordained for you. So keep going, even when it's hard, even when you feel exhausted, even when you don't have all the answers. Keep believing that God is still in control, that He is still writing your story, that He is still working all things together for your good, because one day, sooner than you think, you will look back and realize that every challenge, every tear, every moment of struggle was leading you to something far greater than you ever imagined.